You're listening to On the Go Voice Podcast, the best generational podcast you'll ever tune into. Listen to the voices of this generation where we seek to identify values, stimulate discussions, and vocalize the community. Welcome to On the Go Voice Podcast, guys. I'm your host, Charles Sabiaga, and this is my host, Samara Sin.
Yeah.
And welcome to another series and episode of Express Creativity here at the podcast. And, we were talking about, me and Samara, how briefly we got into content creation. Like, it's crazy how back then social media was at first something that we wanted to do just to post with our friends, right? It was more so about sharing our experience, right? It was more about like, hey, what are you doing, and connecting with people. But over time, it's become a platform for people to also share their passion, their experiences, what they're really good about, or something that they want to just express to the world. And that's the cool thing about this content creation. And for me personally, I got into content creation because I loved connecting with people, but also because I loved being able to express and vocalize my thoughts.
Yeah, definitely I can say that social media has definitely changed a lot in a sense of now I use social media through my way of showcasing what I do, what I do creatively, the type of work that I do to really just show off what I do.
Exactly. And you being a creative content creator now is such a it's such a movement, and it's always fascinating to me. So with this creative series, I'm actually excited to have two of my old mentors back then who are creating content now through Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, as well as they help other business out, but also get to share the experiences of vlogging food, which is really interesting. So with that being said, I'm gonna introduce Raquel and Javi. They are the producers and owners and creators of Trendi Eats. So why don't you guys introduce yourself a little bit at the background right now?
You want to do this. I know you want to do this. What's your favorite part? Go ahead.
My name is Javier, and I am one of the founders of Trendi Eats, and that's Raquel right there.
Okay,
so basically we started doing, I guess you would say, marketing for businesses maybe about 6 years ago or so. And we used to do, like the traditional, like buy one, get one free, the coupons, the discounts, the paper marketing, or build a website, that type of thing. We had a client, we did basically everything. Basically it was restaurants, it was mechanic shops, it was like hair salons, it was just a mix of everything. There was no real niche connected to our brand.
Right.
And one day we got our very first restaurant, and we were doing like paper marketing and hoping that it would, pick up the business. And it was a 3-month marketing campaign. And a month 2, he was like, you know what, this isn't working. I appreciate it coming in, but I think this is where it's gonna come to an end. And we were like bummed because we were like, no, like we really wanted this to work. Like we were trying everything. We tried SMS marketing. We're like, okay, we gotta do something different. So we went back home and we're like, okay, so what can we do to drive more business to this restaurant? We're like, well, out in LA, they have so much foodie culture, and everyone's like so excited, like, oh my gosh, we're gonna try this place. Like, we would constantly look at Yelp and look at places that we wanted to find when we were like, oh, we're gonna be in LA. Let's find a really good coffee shop, or let's find a really good place to go and eat. I'm like, well, what if we feature something crazy, something different in this restaurant, and maybe it'll help drive traffic because his food is great. We just need to figure out a way to get people in the door.
Right.
And so we came up with the idea that we were gonna make this mega burrito. Like this thing was like
Mega
3 feet
burrito.
long, and it was like giant. And when we were trying to make it, it was like flopping over. But let me backtrack a little bit. So when we told the business owner, like, hey, we're gonna make mega burrito, give us a chance. If it doesn't work, you know, we'll give you back your money for the last month and everything. We'll give you your money back. And he was like, okay, fine, let's try it. And he was like, well, what is it? And I was like, a mega burrito, how much is it gonna cost? $25. He's like, how are you gonna get somebody to buy a $25 burrito if they barely wanna buy a $9 burrito?
Right.
And we were like, well, let's just try it out, you know, because the goal is, I mean, your food is good. Let's just do something to kind of highlight your business that makes you different and sets you apart from everybody else, and we'll get them in the door. Just, you have nothing to lose. We told you, if it doesn't work, we'll give you all your money back. And he said, okay. So we went back and made the burrito, and then it was like falling over, and he was like, okay, who's gonna bite the burrito? And back then we didn't have a camera, so he recorded it on his phone, and it was just like this small burrito, this small video on a phone with text. And at that time we didn't have the Trendi Eats page, so we posted it on the client's page. And so we launched it. We had one of our friends actually bite the burrito, because at the time I didn't want him on the video. I was like, I don't want people to watch me eat. Like, that's weird. I'm gonna have like salsa or cheese or cilantro or something. It's just, I don't know, it was weird. I was like, no. And so
Camera shy.
Yes, totally. And then we launched the video, and it got 80,000 views, and it was all organic, and it came from his page, and we're like, oh my gosh, like people are sharing it. I can't believe it. And we would get there to go and visit him, and there would be people like walking out with the burrito. I'm like, oh my god, like he has the burrito. We were super excited. And so then after that, you know, we did like 2 more campaigns. We sat with him. We came up with different ideas that he can kind of implement into his business to kind of, you know, set it apart from all of the other businesses. And that was the first one. So then after he was like, you know what, we've been doing this for like 3 or 4 months, and you know, I just have too much business. Like at this point, I can't handle more business in my location. So I think we're gonna stop. We're like, what? Like you're gonna stop because you have too many people? No. And so we were like, okay, well, I mean, that's good. I mean, we made him, you know, we helped his business. You know, everybody knows where he's at. And we're like, so we went back and like, now what? Who are we? Nobody knows who we are anymore. They just know our client, and that's it. And so we were like, well, what if we create a platform where we become the people who feature these new places, because Oxnard and Ventura County in general has just so much to offer as far as the foodie culture.
Absolutely.
It's just
I agree.
Nobody knows.
Of course.
And there's so many creative people out there, and sometimes they're already creative and they're just a little bit afraid to kind of take that step to do something different.
Put themselves out there.
Like, what if people don't like it? Well, what if they don't? No big deal. It's just, it didn't work.
What if they do like it, right?
And what if they do? Which is the best part of it. And so we were like, okay, so we built the page. We changed the name a couple of times. First it was like Viva Ventura County, and then we were like Trendi Ventura County, and then we were like, no. And then we're like, well, you know what? We don't want to do, you know, mechanic shops anymore. We don't really, those videos weren't going viral, and it wasn't really working. So we're like, okay, let's take a chance, and let's narrow it down. Let's cut out all of the other business, and let's just focus on food. Let's be the master of one thing, and you know, just take it from there.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of scary. So like, okay, so what if nobody wants to watch our food videos? Like, it's just something that we just started, and what if nobody watched them? We're like, well, what if they do? And so we narrowed it down, and we did it, and it was Trendi Eats, and the name stuck. And then a lot of it was people started inviting us, like, oh, you guys should go and check out this place. It's really cool. They have like this really good food item, or have you checked out this here? And we were like, well, we haven't checked it out. Let's go check it out. And so we started creating content. And so right now it's like 50-50. Sometimes like we'll go and seek out these places, and sometimes these places will seek us out. And sometimes there'll be recommendations from like our viewers. And so we have like this long list of all of these places that people recommend, and we try to get to as many as we can.
In Ventura County at the time, right?
Ventura County. Yeah. Technically, everything that we do is 805 base. So as far up as like, I think San Luis Obispo is still 805.
Yeah, it is still. Santa Barbara to them.
Yeah. So 805 all the way around. Once in a while, we do take like a trip out of like Ventura County. Like they'll invite us to.
We got hired by San Francisco.
Yeah.
Like when it's far away, like San Francisco, it was a food truck, and then they hit us up.
I seen that.
Hey.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I like what you guys are doing. And it's because we launched a video for a food truck in Oxnard. And they needed help getting more clients, and that video reached 2 million views, I'm sorry.
Right.
And in a month and a half, and because of that video, then this food truck in San Francisco reached out. They're like, "Yeah, I want you guys to come." And I was like, "What? Really?" So then we just asked, let's do it, and then pretty much they cover everything for us, and then it was awesome.
We made a weekend trip out of it, so we made it where we're like, okay guys, we left from Oxnard, we took the train, and we're getting to San Francisco, and this is the place. So if you guys come out to San Francisco from Ventura County, you guys should check out this spot specifically. So we kind of showed like how we got to San Francisco and what we did on the way back. To kind of tie it back.
So it's kind of like a vlog in a way, right?
Exactly.
What did they pay you to get involved, or
they did.
or was
they
it like a
paid
collaboration?
For travel expenses.
Nice.
That was all we
That's
did.
so nice of them.
We, like, they knew that we were gonna go far, and we tried to schedule with like their schedule, and when we went out there and we met them, like they were super nice. So it was really nice of them to kind of take care of the travel expenses.
So. And it's all because of the videos, like people reach out, and then some people offer, hey, like I want to work with you on a monthly basis and come in.
It's pretty similar to what he comes across, because companies pay him to put on makeup. But I think there's
amazing.
There's a stigma where kind of like everybody's trying to get on that, where they're like, hopefully companies pay me and stuff like that. Then a lot of these small micro influencers are trying to build a brand for themselves, right? For you guys, how do you guys think you triggered companies to get you guys to get their attention, to be like, yo, like I think they're worthy enough, versus someone who's just kind of like starting their up?
I believe that is because of trying to be different from other companies that are doing the same thing or trying to do the same thing. I always try to be better, and every day
constantly trying to innovate,
innovate
and
our
videos.
Even our videos have a recipe. It's like, okay, how do we start? The first 3 seconds is the most important. It's what's gonna get them to stay, and what we're gonna put in the middle, what we're gonna put towards the end, and what do we put at the end.
And what product are we gonna do?
Right.
What are we gonna come up with? And then it's constantly changing. Like our recipe has evolved from like the very first video to what it is now.
Yeah, it looks very great.
Like, just that constant progression is really
exactly.
And then it comes to 30. Like a lot of, not a lot, like probably 30% of the videos we posted on Trendi Eats, we participate in creating the product with the chef. So we help out, cool. Sometimes like, hey, there's people that have a good food, but they're not creative enough.
Or they don't think outside.
the box. They're scared. So we come up with, hey, what if we do this? What if we do that? And they're like, hey, let's try it out. And then we do it, and then it comes out good. So that becomes the reason why people start showing up to the restaurant, because it was something different. That they even customers that go to these restaurants, that they're like, hey, I've never seen that before, even though I go every day there.
Yeah. And I love it, because you guys are creating that space and environment for them to be like, yo, like, don't just make a traditional food where it has all the regular ingredients. Make something out of it where it's just like, whoa, you guys do that, like a giant burrito, like you know what I'm saying? Or I've seen other giant pizzas, like it totally captivates your attention.
Today we visited this food truck that has it's a shrimp hamburger, and it's gonna have gold on the top.
Ooh.
So edible
gold. With gold leaf.
Sounds delicious.
It really doesn't taste like anything, but it's just a way for them to help. And
bougie.
People say, oh my god, I want to go, I want to take that Instagram photo. And
like, I feel like having gold for lunch.
Wait, is that actual food?
It's
edible.
Yeah, it's edible.
It's paper, and then you put it on top.
Edible gold leaf.
It's called the edible gold leaf.
Yeah. Edible gold. Is that here in Ventura County?
Yeah.
Interesting.
We created the Hot Cheeto Mega Pizzadilla 2 years ago at this restaurant called Taqueria Cuernavaca, and it's like the best selling item in their menu, and it's like, it was 2 years ago still. So it's like,
what restaurant is this from?
Taqueria Cuernavaca in Oxnard.
Dang, I don't
say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, good thing I'm recording it, right? So I'll come visit it. I'm like, yo, I interviewed these guys. Let me check that out. So as you guys progressed, where were you guys getting your ideas when it comes down to like content? Like, oh, let's help that chef out, build this type of food. Like, do you guys just like? Because for me, sometimes when I'm thinking of content, I'm just like, yo, like this hasn't been touched, I'm gonna do that. like for instance, you know, this upcoming month we're putting artists together within the 805 within the series and put them in a cipher because it hasn't been done in the 805, and I feel like artists need to collaborate more. And we're gonna incorporate a podcast within that, so that when they're doing a cipher, so I have all these people organized together right now for the end of the month. That's awesome. You know, but
I
for
love it.
yeah, you know,
That's
I'm always curious where those ideas come from with you guys.
I think it all kind of comes from working as a team. Like, we go back, you know, we draft up some ideas, we go and we meet with the chef, and it comes back down to, at the very end of the day, it's a collaboration, it's a team effort, you know. They know their product better than anybody else. We know how to modify things to make it look appealing and appetizing and creative, and try to kind of push the boundaries with the chefs, and then together we're able to come up with these different and crazy, sometimes totally out of the box ideas.
Yeah, we'll get inspired. We'll go to restaurants all the time. You know, we travel. Sometimes one day they hire us for the shrimp festival in Mexico, in Sinaloa. Ooh. So we went there 4 days, and each night we had to stay in different hotels because we had to promote the different hotels, and they took us to the most expensive restaurant to the cheapest restaurant. It's just an experience.
Who made the bread in her house, in her home oven, and like it was like 130 degrees in there.
You can see
like,
the cats walking there, the
it's
dogs
crazy.
walking there.
And when did you guys start this? Like Trendi Eats? I know you guys mentioned.
Trendi Eats was in 2016. The end of 2016. It was, I want to say maybe actually January 2017.
Now.
3 years.
3 years and a half, 4 years.
Have you guys always used that? Like, would you say that's like the most part where you get your traffic from when it comes down to getting clients too? But on top of it, also when it comes down to
it got to a point right now that like all these restaurants, their chefs, people, their managers, they follow their account, you know. So they message us. It's like, hey, you know, can you guys? I want a meeting with you guys. Can you guys come and try this new menu item or whatever? And then we just agree, or we think about it, or we just respond. But it's pretty cool. Yeah, it just feels good, you know. And the most exciting thing for me, it's me as a person that's never on camera.
Yeah.
it's
Is
not there at all. I'm like, where are you at?
Being outside and then seeing people's reaction when they see Raquel. So why? Because this year they start to noticing her. So we're walking, we're on church, we're at the coffee shop. They're like, oh, is that the girl that's Trendi Eats? And they want to take photos with her, but that didn't happen at the beginning. You know, it took time, and we didn't know that was gonna happen. But now it's happening, and it's like if we do a video at a restaurant and then we show up the next day, we'll see 3 or 4 people that went to that restaurant because of the video, and they want to say hi. Or
that's so cool.
I want to say that the most exciting part for me is more just not. I think it's still kind of weird. Oh my god, hi. I'm like, oh, what did I do? I didn't do anything. It wasn't me, I swear. But it's like when, like you say, like when we get to the restaurants and we see people who get there and they're like, oh, we're here because we saw your video. And they're telling the business owner, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's working. Like, it feels good because
I bet
they're going and they're getting exposure, and we make it a point to not put anything on our channel that we personally just don't like. So we really want it to be genuine, whether they reach out, whether we reach out. If, you know, the product is good and it tastes good and we really feel like it's a good place that we'd like to share, we share it. And if we think that it should be something different, or it's just, it might not be something that we would like to share, you know, we tell them, we're like, hey, maybe we can think of a different idea, or maybe we can modify it, and then we kind of take it from there, because at the same time, it's their brand and it's also our brand, and we want to really stay true to actually sharing food that we like, not
just so it's 100% genuine.
Exactly, and that way it's not just like, oh yeah, they called them so they went. No, we actually want to make sure that we like what it is that whatever it is that we're sharing with you guys.
Yeah, I totally understand.
So that you guys go 100%. And you guys are like, yes, we loved it too. It's so true, and that's.
Well, I mean, you can't just take everything, right? You have to be selective, and companies need to understand that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the content creation is super important nowadays, and more because they say that in the next 20 years, Instagram accounts are gonna be worth just like buying a house. You know, it's gonna be so hard for people to grow accounts because it's gonna be very saturated. All the people that are 10 that don't care about social media, or they care a little bit, when they graduate or they want to get a job, it's gonna be we're gonna be competing with them. because the next generation is coming, so for us,
for sure,
so for us just to say, for example, let's
what
say,
did they say next generation is? Generation Alpha is the generation that just started like kindergarten and first grade. And I'm like, it sounds so like intense.
I know,
like,
everybody
Generation
does.
Alpha,
So
like
what
they're here
gonna
to
be
take
doing.
over.
Yeah.
So creating a social media page and putting work now is very important. That way, and later on, you're one of the pioneers that started doing this type of content. In
the niche and direction, right?
Yeah, in your local area or nationwide, however you want to do it, but to start and actually do it, it's super important.
I think I agree as well when it comes down
Taking
to
initiative on whatever your project is, taking initiative and actually putting in the work. You're gonna wake up and there's gonna be those days where you're like, I really don't feel like working today. I'm done, and then those are the days you have to like push through. Like there's times like we'll be filming and I'll have like a migraine for whatever reason. This day I didn't get enough sleep because we were up editing, or sometimes like we'll be up until like 3 in the morning, like talking, and we're like, oh crap, we have to go to sleep because we have to film in the morning, and like the next day I'll have a migraine and I'll be like, okay, I can't. My head hurts really bad, and he's like, all right, action. I'm like, okay, hey, what's up, guys? And
I feel you.
Cut. Okay, I'm just gonna take another nap right now, and then we'll be good to go.
Yeah.
But you have to like push through it, because you have to, like you're saying, you have to put in the work now so that you can then reap what you sow later. You know?
And I also want to backtrack. What I liked, what you guys mentioned, was that you guys work with the people around to create those ideas. I mean, even for Samara, I'm sure you have to know your tools, but also expand your mind, like not just be so limited to this fixated way of seeing things, so that you can create different ideas. Like for Samara, like sometimes I'll see him with one animal and then it'll be something else totally different.
My style of makeup is just so different, but it's because I'm choosing to take it from a different perspective. There are a million people that do makeup. We've seen it
How can you be
over and over and over and over again. How can I come from a different angle that hasn't been brought that way? So while somebody else,
yourself apart?
so while somebody else is doing like a very beautiful, gorgeous face, I'm turning myself into an elephant or a parrot.
I did see that.
Yeah, so it's like you just
amazing. It's
I
interesting
feel
to
like
see.
it's always about the angle and the way you approach it, and it's always kind of challenging yourself and that creative mindset to see it differently.
Exactly. Like if you tell me something about makeup and somebody who does something really different, I would say there's this, I can't remember her name, but she's a girl and she does her makeup, she transforms herself into different celebrities.
Oh wow.
I
That's
don't know.
pretty
You
creative.
know who I'm talking about? Like she did like the Michael Jackson, she did the she did a Kylie Jenner, she did, it was crazy. Like her face is just
You can't tell the
changing.
difference, or
It's the way she does the shading. If you think about it, it's like if you're painting on a piece of paper, right? You do the shading, you're drawing it basically on your face as the canvas, and her face just completely changes. You know who did it? Talia. Talia did it for Halloween. She turned herself into
gotta check it
Dr. What's his name? The one with the little clock and he goes like this.
Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
Yes.
I love.
She transformed herself into Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And it's things like that. Like it's completely different. She's the music artist. She sings. She's beautiful. Everybody knows that she's beautiful. And she just, that was just totally out of the box just because she enjoyed it. And it went viral.
Enjoying.
Exactly.
That's why also one of the things that I think what stands out people is that they're not forcing their passion, is that they're genuinely enjoying it. And the other thing is that they're also I think you mentioned earlier, they're always looking to be better themselves than yesterday. How can I create better content for myself? Like, okay, the equipment, is it the quality, is it the ideas, is it who I'm around, like triggering those parts. Yeah, where do you guys have anybody that you guys collaborate with or like that speak with outside of to brainstorm ideas?
Well, the only partnership that we have right now, it's with Rico Mambo. That's the only partnership that we have. We just collab. We come out on their show twice a month. We talk about a local restaurant, and then we or people know about them, and their people know about us. So it's a pretty cool.
They'll go and eat with us. Like we'll
go and eat with us.
Nice.
Places.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Love it. That you guys are partnered up in, especially here in the local area. Do you guys plan to expand, kind of? Like
we, well, when we went to Mexico, we went to a shrimp festival. And we met this guy that he has a blog about food, And then he has more than 1 million followers, right? He's been doing it longer.
Yeah.
It's called Blog del Gordo, the fat guy's blog. So he's never on camera, but his voice is always on camera. And then like, hey, today I'm gonna be trying this, and then he just. So when I was talking with him, I was like, hey, you know, what is it that you did, or what are you doing that makes you? What's your goal? And he's like, well, one of my goals I already accomplished. I have a food festival. And then when I heard that, I was like, I want to have a food festival too in Trendi County, right? So
that's perfect.
Then when we flew back, it was just in our head, you know, hey, we have to do a food festival. Like that has to be the next goal. And one day we walked into this coffee shop and we saw, and we saw the executive director of downtown Oxnard. And they were talking about Trendi Eats, and when I was getting there, and I was like, and then the owner was like, hey, that's the guy of Trendi Eats, because no one knows me, right? Everybody knows me. And then I said hi to him, we introduced, and then I met him, and then he's like, we were talking, how do you get a lot of videos out every week? You know, how many people are on your team? You know, like all these questions, and we were just answering everything, and he asked, hey, what's your goal? What do you want to do with the brand? And I told him I want to do a festival, food festival. And then he got super excited, and he's like, man, you have more followers than downtown Oxnard, like all like Radio Laser, like all these companies that are very famous, not on social media but just locally.
Right.
You guys have more followers than Salsa Festival. Let's do it, man. If you guys want to partner up with us, we'll take care of the stuff that we need to take care of, so that we can make it happen, and you guys can just do the marketing, great marketing. That way you guys can do the event. And then I wanted to cry when that happened.
Did you
I was
cry?
like inside, I was like, I want to cry so bad right now.
So exciting.
He came back to the car, and I normally get off, and this time I didn't because I was uploading some videos and some photos, and I was just in there, and he goes, you're not gonna guess what happened. I was like, oh my god, what happened? And then he told me, and we were like, oh my god.
Oh, that's so cool.
exciting.
Wait,
Why? Because they already do festivals, right? So they do the Salsa Festival, they already know how to do it. So when you want to do something but you don't know how to do it, then it becomes like, oh, well, how are we gonna start? Like, who do we contact first?
But if we really want to do it, we can make it happen.
Yeah.
Right.
And we met this guy, and now it's like we're excited.
It makes it like that much closer to reality.
It's supposed to be August 20th,
22nd.
oh,
22nd or 20th?
August 22nd.
22nd.
We'll be there.
In August.
I'll be
and
there.
We
for
just
sure.
haven't like officially launched the date because we're finalizing a bunch of stuff.
That's
that
right.
we
You
need to
know,
kind of
you know what I
prepare.
remember now? It's funny because when I was hitting you guys up for like, or have an interview with you guys, I remembered Stay Classy Oxnard, and they mentioned how they could do a banner for me, and then I remember now that they did mention that you guys are gonna start a festival. So I was like,
yeah, we partnered up with. We're gonna be doing the festival with the help of Rico Mambo, Stay Classy Oxnard, and who else? So Mexican.
So Mexican.
They have like 5 million followers on Instagram.
that's freaking awesome. Here in Ventura County?
No, LA.
LA
And they
too.
have some people from Ventura County.
Okay.
A lot of followers.
That'll be
But-
still cool.
So it's all
But
these
the
brands, you know.
festival's gonna be here. It's gonna be in downtown.
In downtown,
The first
yeah.
one.
Oh,
We're not.
I know. We're excited.
I'm excited. What kind of food's gonna be there? Because I'm
Everything.
trying to get hungry now.
Everything and anything that's creative. So the idea is that we're gonna have people kind of submit the item that they're gonna be featuring while they're there.
Okay.
Oh,
So that we make
Interesting.
sure that everybody has something that's creative
Mhm.
and they don't have to worry about making anything
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
just gonna pick whatever item they think is the most creative.
Mm-hmm.
And
just have it out
everybody's
there?
gonna have something different. So like if somebody's doing
That's
something, you have to kind of
That's
That's
cool.
so different. That's very like I don't know if you've ever been to the 626
yes,
night market.
yes,
That's my
yes,
inspiration.
that's our
Literally,
inspiration right
it's
there.
like
That
my
and
inspiration.
Night
Disneyland.
Yes.
markets. I still haven't gone to
It's
one.
amazing, but
Wanna-
it really is like
that's
that.
what we
Where it's
wanna
like
do.
each booth has its own specific like thing that they do. Like, oh, we serve milk tea, but it's in a light bulb.
Exactly.
Oh, like what
Or the
heck?
giant baby bottles,
Yeah.
or like the garden,
Yeah.
the ice cream. So
But it's gonna become a little bit challenging because we need to convince these guys, you know, hey, you gotta be different. Let's try to do something different. But I think it'll be possible.
I think you guys can
And,
do it.
Yeah,
Once
I
you
definitely
coordinate with
think
them.
so.
Yeah, and we want to have food attractions and other
and
stuff.
games. We want it to be like
Games.
family oriented. Like the kids want to
Love
go
it.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, oh my
something to
God,
remember.
exactly.
Have it like an annual, maybe biannual.
Like the
Dang.
We
Disneyland for
want
food.
it to
So
be
cool.
like a cross between the 626 night market, I guess you would say,
Yeah.
Okay.
and Disneyland.
Okay,
Oh, it's gonna be great.
Burn me.
so we're gonna take a quick little break. I want to dive into like how you guys gonna reach that. So with the aspect of the event, because I'm really curious. Give me a second.
Okay.
All right, guys, welcome back. took a little quick break, but we wanted to dive in on how you guys, because I just wanted to ask you guys this, with the events that you guys were gonna do for the upcoming year, the event, are you guys gonna be reaching out to like local influencers to get them involved as well? Because there's a couple of foodie vloggers out here, and a couple of them, you know, I had in mind, or even like people you guys can reach out to, and that definitely spread awareness, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely something that we're trying to do. We're making up a list right now of people who we'd like to reach out to. Maybe they'd like to have like their pop-up there, like a meet and greet, and we can have different hours, maybe like a panel where we could have like some of them there.
Nice.
And I think it would be a good way to kind of help the community and bring more traffic. And I think that's something that's so cool. Is always going to remain part of like the foundation of why we do what we do, because it's technically driving more traffic to our hometown, to our area, driving more business here, which means that in turn it helps our local economy.
Of course.
You know?
And
we have other brands. For example, we have Stay Classy that we're gonna collab. They're not foodies, but we chose
traffic.
Stay Classy, and more because the guy that's behind the brand, he's we love the guy, huh?
He's
like,
they're awesome.
So awesome.
They're
Such
very
a good
awesome.
person.
We can't say much, but
He's an awesome person.
And then he's Oxnard. You know, a lot of people know the brand because it's in Oxnard. So he started doing content and creating content, making people laugh, making people smile, you know, just since
being real.
Being real, you know. So that's why we love the brand.
And shout out to Stay Classy Oxnard. But anyways, we also want to dive into content creation, guys. Like, I think it's important because a lot of people are kind of confused. We had Malia over here also ask, like, hey, should I start with my personal brand or should I just start something new? So we kind of want to just like pick you guys' brain to see what you guys would know. For anybody who's trying to start, it's not just through Instagram, maybe through Facebook, whatever platform they choose that they're more comfortable with. We're gonna start with that, right?
Yeah.
So what would you guys advise for let's just say someone who's also who loves food, like, damn, I enjoy it, where should they start?
I think that they should always start, number one, figuring out how they're gonna be different, and number two, how are you gonna grow your brand as a person? Because Trendi Eats is one thing, but I feel like he said it a lot more. People connect a brand when they connect it to a face. And we realized that as I started coming out more in the videos, like I mentioned, I really didn't want people watching me eat. I just thought it was something that was weird, and then I started doing it, and then I feel like once they started seeing maybe like the consistency of like the same person, they're like kind of anticipating like, where is she going to go next? And now it's more like, where is my friend, the one that knows where all of the good foodie spots are, like, where is she gonna go? Because I want to go where she's gonna go. And it's exciting to kind of see how it's evolved to, it really boils down to the same thing no matter what. Like, it's, if it's in person or if it's in social media, it's a person-to-person relationship. At the end of the day, you're building relationships, whether it's in person or it's through a screen.
Right.
And it's how people can begin to relate to you, and you know, people feel the vibe. Either you're being real and you're being yourself, or you're trying to copycat somebody else who's out there being a social media like big kind of influencer. You know, people like the genuinity. They like the fact that you're yourself, that whatever it is that makes you know, focus on that and use that to set yourself apart from everybody else.
Right.
I think
your uniqueness, individual, like
exactly
what makes you.
Exactly. Like, there's 1,000,001 things that people can make podcasts on, and you can pick one of those 1,000,001 things. You don't have to necessarily do the exact same thing or the same thing that somebody else is doing. There's 1,000,001 people who are doing content creation. Like, you're doing makeup. There's people who do, you know, health advice. There's people who do nutrition. There's people who do, you know, camera reviews. There's a number of things, and it's focusing down on what your niche is and what you really feel you have a passion for. I think, like, at the end of the day, if you want to be a copycat, like, it's not going to work out well.
It's not sustainable.
Never.
Exactly, because you're going to run out of things to copy. But if you're in love with something, then you're going to start sparking your creativity. You're going to start innovating, and it's the only way for you to become unique.
And that's really what it's about. And I feel like a lot of people tend to forget that. Like,
exactly.
yes, you can have you're an amazing blogger who you love and you want to follow after them, but at the end of the day, you can't be them. You're not going to be them. You need to be yourself. Like, you need to build your own separate brand.
Exactly. And it's not even about the numbers. It's not about the followers.
At
it's
all.
doing what you love, and the followers will come, and the business will come, and everything else is going to fall into place as long as you're doing what you love to do.
Yeah. Right. And the last thing you want to do is get recognized for being somebody else. Like, you want to be truly you when brands approach you and followers start to fall in love with your content.
That's true.
Exactly. Our Facebook right now is at 35,000 followers.
Nice.
And
likes or followers?
Followers. And so I think the likes, I think it's like 27, something like that, thousand. But it's funny because I remember looking at it and we're like, oh, we have 4,000, and then like we weren't paying attention to the followers or anything, and like out of nowhere we're like, oh my gosh, like we're at like 20K, like when did this happen?
Right.
Like, I don't understand in which like amount of time this happened, but it was because we were just so focused on creating content, on doing what we were, you know, meant to be doing. We didn't pay attention to that, and it just kind of happened on its own. And I think
that's where it messes people up, is because they start to focus on like
numbers,
attention, the number. I sometimes kind of get into that as well, but then as I shift my focus on like who I'm serving, what I'm passionate about, like who I am as an individual, who I claim I am, that becomes more like aligned with me, and I just keep going, and I start to focus on like the process rather than like the results or the numbers, you know.
Yeah, definitely in the makeup industry it's the same thing. Like, that's something that I struggle with a lot. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so close to this many hundred. Oh my gosh, I'm so close to this much. I was literally talking about it earlier. I was like, oh my god, I'm so close to 900. And it's like, it's such a small thing, and it shouldn't really be like that. But in the makeup world, you kind of tend to feel like that. Like, why is this girl have 185,000 followers when I do this
really
something
so much better,
so much more difficult than that? But
exactly. It's super easy to like get stuck into that and like get pulled into that, like, oh well, I'm almost there. And it's training yourself to just not look at it, and if you're doing your job well and you're doing what you love, like, it's gonna happen, and it's just gonna take time, but you want those people to follow you because you're doing what you love, and they feel it. They feel that
definitely is something that I struggle with, but I definitely reel myself back in. Like, I have to realize, like, no, I don't have a huge. It's like, no, I don't have a huge.
Talking to the right people too, like you guys.
Yeah, like, I'm also still doing something that nobody else is doing. So it's.
You're sticking to what you feel is you. Yeah. Which is super important.
That's very important. And we were talking about the numbers too, and that, like I said, I think that's where people kind of fall short and they stop creating content. Is one of the factors that they're just not as passionate about it, you know. So the quicker you find that passion, the more you lean in towards it, and you find people like you guys. I wouldn't say, like, you know, I don't know how this thing even happened, to be honest. I look back, I'm just like, I'm this far.
And that's the best time to look back at it, because you're just like, okay, you're focusing on what you're doing, and then out of nowhere you're like, oh my gosh, I remember I was like way back there, and now I'm way over here, and my goal was here, but now I'm way over here.
Right. And it's so crazy.
I do hear like a static.
Yeah, let me.
We were talking about being unique and doing what, you know, is right for you, and not trying, you know, there's 1,000 people out there trying to mimic somebody else, but the only real way for you to really not even focus on growing, I think, is just enjoying what you're doing. Focusing on
the ride.
Exactly, you just enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride, the process. I think
enjoy the process.
Yeah, I was talking to some artists about a week and a half ago, and one thing that I mentioned is I think it's out working at it to an extent where if you, like, say 5 years from now don't get exactly where you want, you would still be happy with it. You know, whether it's money or like numbers or whatever, but like being authentic with that, because it's you, that you can see yourself doing it for a long time. I think that's where, I think that's, for me, that's where it's more sustainable, you know, because I feel like I'm doing something that's fulfilling on my end, that makes me happy, you know. But other than that, I know you guys have a couple things going on. We just wanted to end it off. By the way, thank you guys for coming on. I know you guys are super busy.
Thank you for having us.
I'm glad to have my...
Never busy for you, man.
They're actually my first two mentors when I got into business. Learned sales, sold some energy drinks, just learned a couple of things, how to do sales, business presentations. Interesting thing. But now that we're back here again. So ending this off, like, what do you guys I mean, you kind of just mentioned, what you might want to say to someone who's trying to create content, but just for anybody listening, whether it's your fans or people who are following you or friends and family, what do you guys want to say to them?
I would just say focus on what you love to do. Make that your main goal, doing what you love, and then monetizing and everything else is going to come at the very end. It's going to kind of be a result of your effort and your work ethic and your creativity and your willingness to innovate along the way. Constantly evolving.
Also working on yourself, like representing your brand, when somebody asks, I think there needs to be some selling skill, like sales skills behind it. Because if you can have a million followers, but if you don't know how to sell your brand, then who's gonna wanna partner up with you or pay you money? So I think if you're not good at selling, then get somebody that could be your manager and can take care of all those things. That way, like for me, I do it a lot. When somebody messages, I'm normally the one that gets on the call or like tries to negotiate the part of.
He's my sales guy.
And then they want to talk to her. They want to talk to her direct.
I'm the customer service.
They're like, I want to talk with Raquel. I was like, well, you can talk to her, but I mean, it has to go through me too. So that way they don't want to take advantage sometimes, because time is important. So
leveraging your strength and then delegating your weaknesses, basically.
Yeah, and along with being self-aware, like being self-aware of what you're doing, of the direction that you're headed in. Like, hey, you know what? I'm getting sidetracked. Like, I need to get like my together and like let's get it going.
Yes.
And even though it's your passion too, don't leave the whole. Like making money, monetizing is important too, because you have to eat. It's your future and it's your passion. So, a lot of people say, "Well, it's just, money. I'm not doing it for money." But even if you're not doing it for money, because you're passionate, try to monetize because it's your future. At the end of the day, or you're gonna spend.
Who knows, right? Who knows?
Monetization and following your passion. I think the problem is like when you start getting like greedy or your focus shifts from more so it being your passion to more so just money.
Yeah.
It's more
I think I'm leaning towards the passive. Me and Samara, I'm talking about it where I'm like super passive, where I haven't even thought about monetizing it, just because I'm like, it's for the community, it's for people.
That's
but
great.
Also leaning towards the monetization part.
Because you're good at it, and your time is valuable. So if you can get paid by doing what you love, why not?
Exactly.
You're
I'll
good
find
at
a way.
That's me.
And I mean, we've known you for, it's been what, like
6 years.
Bima was what, like 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago. So I mean, even back then, like your drive and your like work ethic has always been there. Very willing to take a leap and take a chance to do something to change your current situation, to grow as an individual, the personal development, the late nights of like trainings and all this stuff, and nobody was forcing you to do it, and you would just go because you had the drive to want to do something for yourself that you were passionate about. Your passion shifted and now it's this. And it's great that you're implementing all of that energy and focusing it and flowing it to this specific moment.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So,
Okay. Just for anybody listening, I'm gonna have it out, but probably the video. Where can people find you, or some of the things that you guys want to like promote for people to see?
You want me to do it? You want to do it?
Trendi Eats.
Okay, so you can find us on Trendi Eats on Instagram at Trendi Eats, TrendiEats. Or on Facebook, facebook.com/Trendi Eats, spelled the same way. So trendy with an I, because we're Mexican. No, I'm just kidding.
Where can people get a hold of the event that's coming up?
So we haven't actually officially announced it. So you're kind of like one of the first, I guess you would say, like public platforms where we like mention dates and so on.
Exclusive.
So we did say August 22nd, 2020, but we're waiting to finalize 100% that day.
I'm excited.
Posting all of like the permits and stuff. And so
Awesome.
So
I will be there.
Yes.
Yay.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for being on. Everybody listening, thanks for listening. We'll see you guys again on the next episode.